The XC15 is a wonderful camera, and you can take it out and get a lot of great shooting just by itself. But there are some accessories that will enhance and expand its capabilities, and I'd like to share some of those with you that I really like to use. The first thing is a 3-stop ND filter. Now, a lot of people like to use variable ND filters. I don't, because they can really mess up shots when you get things adjusted so that you get that big dark X in the middle, and you got a ruined shot when you get home. And but with a standard ND filter, you don't run into that problem. Now, one of the limitations of the XC15 and the XC10 is that the f-stop only goes up to f11. Well, that means that bright Texas sunlight will completely overwhelm it and make you unable to actually get proper exposure. But if you take a 3-stop ND filter here and combine it with the 3-stop internal ND filter on the camera, there's almost no degree of sunlight that you can shoot within reason that you can't get excellent exposure using these filters in combination. So I highly recommend this, especially if you're going to do run and gun and shoot outside. And to show you how convenient this can be, normally outside in bright sunlight, I shoot with 3 stops up all the time. So I put this on the camera, and that's what I start with is 3 stops of ND filter right here. And if it gets too bright, the camera will signal that it's too bright by flashing, and then you can, I have this, my other ND filter programmed here on my second button, and I just punch it, and then boom, now I've got 6 stops of ND filter, and it makes it really easy to get immediate exposure, excellent exposure. With the other ways that I shoot outside, I'll be describing that a little bit later. So anyway, this is to me an essential accessory, and it's relatively inexpensive. And it also enables you to do something else I'll be talking about when we mention the next accessory, which is coming right up. The next accessory for the XC15 and the XC10 is this wide-angle lens. This is a standard wide-angle lens that Canon supplies for a lot of cameras that mount 58 millimeter filters. Now, you can just screw this right onto the end of the camera, and it's really great for getting a good establishing shot, nice landscapes. It gives you a very nice wide angle. One of the other things that's really cool I learned is that you can zoom out completely. Well, why would you want to zoom out? You want this to be wide angle, right? But if you zoom out and you're shooting a talking head, then using this to focus in on the person talking will give you a shallower depth of field than you can normally get with this camera. And you'd be surprised what beautiful separation you can get between your subject and your background with this combination. And you can also do it just with the camera by itself, but this again enhances the shallow depth of field. This does, however, have a problem. And the problem is that it doesn't have any way you can mount a filter on the end of it. Well, why would you want that? Well, it's very simple. Most of the time you're going to be using this is outside to get wide angle shots, wide shots. And if you hit that bright sunlight and you have no way to get more than 3 stops out of this camera, 3 stops of ND filter, then the light's going to overwhelm it, and you won't be able to get those nice landscape shots that you would like to have. This is why I want to go back and talk about this 3-stop ND filter. Now, this is a B+W ND filter. It's 3 stops, and the beauty of it is it's beefy. It's really nicely made, really beefy and strong. And so I can mount it in here into the lens, and it has screws on the outside. It has threads on the outside, so I can screw in the wide-angle lens, And now I have 6 tops of ND filter, and I can shoot those beautiful landscapes without worrying about being overexposed in any of the images. So that's when you just buy a 3-stop ND filter, let me recommend that you just don't pick up any old one. Make sure that the filter is beefy enough and to hold a lens like this, which is, I mean, it's not a ton, but it's heavy enough. And also that it has these external threads so you can mount the lens. So these things in combination really make shooting outside very pleasant and very easy, and it solves a lot of problems that you would find if you didn't have them and you were just shooting with this camera all by itself. 2 important accessories working together. An astute observer will notice that the XC15 has only an LCD, but there's no EVF. Canon has made up for that by supplying a viewfinder that clamps on, and it works really great in outside shooting. In bright sunlight, it provides you a little movie theater there that you can see the whole thing, and it also expands the size of the LCD. It works a treat. It's very excellent and a very clever idea, and I used that for quite a while until someone suggested something else. Now you may just be perfectly happy with this, and that would be fine, but what I'm going to recommend here is optional, but I think it's a better product for the use on the XC15, and that is the Canon LCD VF. I'll link it below, and it's mounted actually by a magnetic frame that you put onto the LCD, and it just pops right on. You don't have to worry about clamping and unclamping and aligning everything. It just pops on and pops off, you know, like the light, you know, clap on, clap off. It's very easy to use. So it facilitates use if you want to pull this off really quickly and use the touch screen. This is much easier to use than the Canon viewfinder. Now, there are some things about this that are of concern, and I'd like to point those out because it's important. First of all, if you don't have perfect vision, you're going to need a set of lenses here that you can screw in here. They come in 1, 2, and 3 power, so you can stack them. And if you don't have perfect vision, this in combination will enable you to get your image nice and sharp. When you do, you'll see a bigger image than you get with this, and a somewhat brighter image perhaps, but it'll be nice and sharp. Again, if you don't have perfect vision, you're going to need these, so make sure that you buy these in combination with the LCD VF, because there's no adjustment here for your vision. like you see on a lot of cameras. And actually there is an adjustment for this for your vision, but not this. You're going to have to do it by stacking these different magnification lenses, and then it'll work a treat. One caveat beyond that is that when you're using this, make sure that you don't let the sunlight pour in here, because the magnification can damage your LCD. I myself, I mean, you can do a lot of things. You can devise something there that you can put in when you're not using the camera to make sure the sun doesn't get in and damage the LCD. But also, I mean, I just take sometimes a piece of tissue paper and wad it up and put it in there and take it out, hold it while I'm shooting, put it back in. But recently, when I'm shooting, mainly I just carry the camera parallel to the ground all the time to ensure that I'm not going to get the light in there. Probably better safe than sorry to put something in there to block the sun when you're not using it. Well, except for those caveats, I would say this is a terrific product, and I highly recommend it, even though what Canon has provided is perfectly adequate.